Hello, welcome to Leap Taken. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft-related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. It is that time of year. There is magic in the air. I am super excited in a way that's not like excited, like I can't contain myself, well, maybe, but more in a way like anticipation, excitement, like Halloween is coming, Samhain is coming, the witch's New Year is coming. I'll get into the subject of the video in just a moment, but just understand this. When you walk this path, honestly, any spirituality, any spiritual path that's non-Christian, non-Judeo-Christian paths, we'll just say that. And especially if you are doing something on your own, you're kind of piecemealing a little bit traditional culture, maybe indigenous culture, or not culture, excuse me, spirituality, assuming you're indigenous person, or you have some ties to that, or indigenous to whatever it is, or, whether it's like African traditional, or African spirituality, if it's based in Nordic spirituality, if it's based in Celtic, whatever your deal is, y'all know where I'm going with this. But, you're here and you are in the new world. And in the new world, one of the things that they did, those who came before, is they began to sort of play on the old of where they came from, but in this new environment. There are certain things we just won't be able to replicate on this land, on these lands, because it's just not the same. So the way I approach Samhain, the way I approach, honestly, any of these holidays that I celebrate, the high holidays that I choose to celebrate, is with a modern approach, because I have to, because we're in modern times and things are not quite the same. The energy around the reason that these holidays began, no matter how, in different areas, you might get different explanations, different folklore. The point is, it's a general consensus on why they started, or what the lore was on the purpose of the holidays. What I want to tell you is that it's difficult to reenact exactly how it always have been done. So with that being said, it is no less important, it is no less special, it is no less meaningful or less spiritual, the way that we modern witches create our rituals for Samhain. I mention that because that's the one coming up, and that's the one I'm super excited about. There's going to be a modern approach, and it's okay. And this quest to find things the way it had always been done, that way you can feel like you're doing it the right way, the authentic way, is pointless. Who's going to go back 100 years, 200 years, 300, 1,000 years and tell you what folk have been doing and in between those time frames? People adapt. That's why we have so many different ideology on lore and, the creation of a specific holiday. If you're in these lands, if you're in a nearby land, they're telling you something different, because it's always been that way. That's the human way. We're going to have to adapt to the modern times, to the times that you're in. And this is where we are now. And it's okay if you celebrate your high holidays in a way that maybe doesn't look like how everyone else does. That's not an excuse not to celebrate at all, or barely really even approach the holiday. Listen, live your magic. Live in your magic. No matter how insane it might look to everyone else around you, live in your magic. Live out loud in your magic to the best of your ability, to however you feel comfortable. That is what I'm advocating. I say that because I realize we have a generation of young witches coming in where, they're just a little too cool for school for me. Like, everything is just like so critical, and there's going to be something wrong with everything. And I'm not saying that the witches in my generation don't see fault, or we didn't see fault when we were younger. But you got to keep your eyes on the prize. You can see those things. You can have conversation, dialogue. You can dissect it. But at some point, there has to be an understanding that no one and no one thing is perfect. Their perfection is not real. There is nuance, and learn that. Learn nuance. Learn that 2, 3 things could be true and wrong somehow at the same time. But here we are. Prime example, Thanksgiving. Most Black people that I know, the ones that, if you look right now on social media, people are like counting down to Thanksgiving and that low vibrational plate that they're going to have. We are not generally, I'm speaking for Black folk, we are not celebrating Thanksgiving. We are celebrating a day off to have this meal with our friends and family. That's what we celebrate. This is a high holiday of consuming meals that make us feel good, that we can't wait to eat. We most likely not going to eat until that one time a year. Okay? Well, leftovers a couple times in that one year. But the point is, it's our approach, because why in the world would we, of all people, us, me, Blacks, celebrate Thanksgiving in the way that it's technically intended, the way it's been, advocated? No. So that's just a little something. I'm going to segue into the point of the video, but I felt like that needed to be said. It's okay to notice the wrongs. It's okay to remix and make it your own, or not at all. If you don't want to partake at all, kudos. I understand that. But at some point, you will find yourself without magic, without life, when you find fault in everything. Create your own holiday, high holiday. Create your own things if that's the case. But I guarantee there will be somebody else who will find fault in what you created. But moving on to the point of the video. Here we go. Let go and let magic. Play on words, of course. So sometimes, I'll be honest with you, sometimes I have forgotten that I do magic. And I have my notes because I can go all over the place with this. For life's problems, I forget to do the magic sometimes for life's problems. Let me know in the comments if I'm not alone, please. It's not, I don't want to say I forget. Well, I kind of do. Like, I'm so wrapped up on finding the resolution or the solution. I have to catch myself before I'm like racking my brain, spinning it. And then I'm like, eventually, the little spinner slows down and it's like tick, 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 tick. Why don't you check your tarot cards? Why don't you check your oracle cards? Why don't you try just doing some sort of divination? Step 1. If you come up with something with that, why don't we go ahead and cast a spell? Cast a good old witchy spell to problem solve. And I bring this up because we are constantly reminded, us people who practice magic, people who cast spells, who work with energy, right? We're constantly reminded that magic doesn't solve everything. That can you solve it, in a mundane way first? Can you approach it? So I think we, at this point, are fully comprehending that. I think we all got it now. So much that sometimes we have to be reminded, and this video serves as your reminder, it's okay to cast a spell for something I guess others might consider trivial, or something that you feel like can be solved in a mundane way. The difference is maybe you cast that spell because, not that you don't want to wait, but maybe there's some other factors at play and you need it sooner. So that's why you're casting the spell. Prime example, simple trivial things like, I don't know, a parking spot. Parking spot might mean something if you're late for work and you've been late and you're being watched. So you kind of need to find a parking spot, and preferably up close, really fast, because you might be able to get in under the radar. But if you have to park way yonder, there's a way you're going to get caught. Stuff like that. So that's when you want to do a quick spell or a charm, if you will. Say some words. Activate something that's already in the vehicle with you or on your person for luck. That sort of stuff. It's okay. It's okay. Now, I bring this up because you notice I didn't say call on goddess, God, Orisha, ancestor, spirit, your spirit guides. You could do that too, same, but I like to promote a little bit more of the power that's within. You do have the power within. Yes, it's great to call and petition for help to boost and aid in your spell work, but I believe that we have the power to enact energetic change, and it's within our means to do so. Now, we can get into the level of change that you can actually create based on the variables and the will of others around you. That's a different conversation. But we're just talking about a parking spot, right? That's not really involving too much of other people other than someone moving their car out of your way. So, luck. You can tap into that. But, I do believe that, a lot of us, me, myself included, forget that part of witchcraft. In the beginning, when you first practiced witchcraft, you would have thought like this all the time. You would have been casting every 5 minutes, right? But the longer you practice, and long can be 6 months to a year. So I don't mean, many, many years in. But yeah, like a year in, you absorb knowledge, you've been working with a spiritual coach, you've been doing your thing, and you feel pretty solid, in your witchcraft, in your path. And you get to the point where you kind of forget to do that sort of stuff. So, time to let go and let magic. Again, it's a play on, honestly, let go and let God. I was being funny. But use your knowledge of spells and occult and New Age mysticism, the manifesting, all that sort of stuff, right? Use that knowledge, stop suffering through a muggle world problems. Like, you don't need to. Tap into that energy, tap into what you know, or learn something to get past that. Mental alchemy, that sort of alchemy in general. Tap into the occult, the esoteric. Get into it. Sometimes, and I'm going to keep saying muggle, sometimes the muggle life has its own enchantment. So here's what I'm saying. You can get into the routine of just daily living. You're too busy, you're too stressed, you're too tired. It can be very distracting. And to me, it's almost its own form of enchantment, so that you forget the mysticism, you forget the whimsy, you forget the little miracles that is being a witch, being a practitioner, someone who works with the occult and in that realm. You forget how powerful and wonderful that is. And that charm is what, you don't want to lose that. You forget. You lose the zest for it a little bit. And when you do that, the muggle stuff takes over. And for some of us, it can get real bad, depression, just an overall feeling of just, hopeless, because you still have the knowledge of the spiritual world. You still have that information. But when you tie it into the current events, politics, and everything else, things just feel really bad. And it looks like it's going to be like you begin to question your existence. You have an existential crisis, possibly. Let's just say that. Sometimes we need to remember the other part of being here, in this time, in this flesh, and, in this space. And it's not always just about just the here and now, and that's it. There's other things that play. You have to open your eyes, your third eye. I'm getting real out there right now. I'm getting real woo-woo. Your third eye. You got to see with your third eye. You got to use your other senses to feel. and to see and to know and to acknowledge around you the spirits and the other entities that are at play. Okay? So let's break that enchantment that the Muggle world has on us by living a magical life. That's going to be creating daily magical routines. This should not feel like work. This should feel like life. How do you make that happen? Well, with anything, initially it's going to probably be a little awkward and a bit forced because you hadn't done that before. But you're going on the emotions and the feelings of wanting to live a magical life. So you go forward with it anyway. You just keep showing up for yourself and your magical witchy self, and you just keep doing certain things on a routine. You can control that. You know that, right? You're powerful. You're a witch. You're a practitioner. You work with energy. You have the power to make a decision to just do or don't. It's always you. So do. Okay? Stop ignoring those wild dreams that you're having. Don't do that. Stop ignoring the feather on your doorstep. Stop ignoring the signs that you keep seeing the same colors, same words, sort patterns, you know. A lot of us sometimes we get a little complacent. We see it. Yeah, we see it. We might even mention it to someone, but that's as far as it goes. You don't write it down. You don't consult in a meditative state about it. You don't go to an altar. You don't go, somewhere out in nature if that's your thing. And sit on it and wait for answers and wait for a little bit more detail. I feel like those are calling cards, but you got to meet the spirits that are trying to commune with you a bit halfway, and you need to reserve space for that dialogue. Now, obviously, they're not in human form. We're elevated entities, spirits, energy. That has never died. And I believe on some level it's more of a collective more than an individual. So ancestral collective energy, earth energy, all of that universal energy at play. It doesn't speak in human language, it's evolved. So those signs and symbols, you need to pay attention because that is the communication. So hold space for a deeper dialogue. For some of us, it's using tarot cards. That's my jam. I like to use tarot or cards. I use those as a means of communication with these energies. But making time for that is letting that magic in and living your magical lifestyle. Taking some time and just sitting with your cards and trying to not decipher with your friend. That's cool too, to decipher with other people, because sometimes we are meant to do research, but use your intuition to guide you on when do you open up a book, do research, get to the internet, and when do you just sit down and ask to receive their communication for deeper understanding. Check for those patterns. But that's how you break the enchantment of the Muggle world. When I say Muggle, please tell me y'all know what I'm talking about. The mundane world. Break that enchantment that it holds on us. When I think of that, I think of people living like in a gray landscape, kind of like what's happening right now. I know I have color in my room that I'm in. The walls are mostly it's a gray and white. And the floors are like a gray and white floor, kind of brown. Like those are the neutrals now. And I feel like the world that we're in, what's considered norm decorative wise, I know not everybody subscribes to this, but it's a trend that's being pushed onto the masses, is brown, white, gray. And I feel like, what was that? Was it Halloween Town? One of those movies that I watched with my kids. And like everything was drab, and that was like when all the magic went away or something like that. And I feel like that's happening. This quest for everyone to look the same and be the same. That's the enchantment of the Muggle world, by the way. Even worry the same. We're all worried about money. We're worried about Biden. We're worried about if Trump comes back. We're worried about if Trump doesn't come back. We're just like, the consensus is to be on alert about the economy and all that. I'm not saying that you need to ignore it, but you don't have to subscribe to that enchantment. Break it. Okay? You can be knowledgeable and be aware, but you don't have to wallow in it. Okay? So it's okay to use spells outside of like overall prosperity, love spells, or healing spells. Now, why am I saying this? Because there is a segment I'm also aware of who, more like in the folk magic umbrella, that a lot of that is the focus, is either love, prosperity, money, or healing. Or somewhere, even if it's, you know, on the revenge side, it's still something to do with that. So it's okay to do things outside of those realms. Okay, you know, every once in a while, let's play. You know, let's do some other things. I use the example of the parking spot, but you know, again, that relates to your job, which relates to your income, which relates to prosperity and money, right? In a way. But okay, here's something. You know, you want a quiet night so you can binge watch your favorite TV show or whatever, you know, something on Netflix. You just need a quiet night, meaning you don't need someone to ask you to do something. You don't want to have to work that night. You don't want the kids to be awake. The kids need to go to sleep on time for once. This needs to be the night because everybody's been talking about this show. You want to watch this show. You just need that time to do it. Cast a spell. Cast a spell to make it possible. This is just for your freaking enjoyment. This is just for fun. It won't hurt you. It might disappoint you, but you'll move on. You know, eventually you would fit it in. But this time you actually want to watch it. It's not about a mental breakdown. It's not about anything. You just want to watch it just for the sake of enjoyment. Cast a spell to make that environment possible. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? Magic doesn't always have to be so serious. And honestly, once you are practicing long enough, may you be blessed with the lifestyle of not having to make magic so serious all the time. I wish that to anybody who's watching this. May your life be so blessed, be so good, whatever you define as good, that serious magic isn't something you really have to contend with very much. You're more in the whimsical. You're casting a spell, so you know you can have some time off so you can watch a show. Like, that's the kind of stuff you're on right now. You know, you're more in a celebratory mode, or you're more in a mode of your witchcraft where you're wanting to help other people. You're wanting to, you might still do prosperity work and healing, but it's more for someone else, not for you anymore. You know, I hope you are so blessed that that is your experience. Another thing. This is not Charmed, the original series. The personal, no personal gain rule. Remember in the original series, that was the whole thing. You can't have any personal gain. You can't do your magic. There was like an episode where Phoebe was able to get a premonition about the winning lottery numbers, and it was some other things, basically things to make their life a little bit spicier and fun and good by their definition. And everything backfired. This is, you know, writers wrote that to explain why they wouldn't be millionaires and living up. But I do believe some witches, even without realizing it, mean to realize it, they are doing that. They really do on some level believe it. I know for a fact, because I've come across those who have actually made those sort of comments to that effect. Because that's the answer to, just like the writers wrote for the series on why they wouldn't, you know, why they wouldn't be super rich, why they wouldn't have as many lovers as they desire, and, you know, no problems and blah, blah, blah. A perfect life, you know, that sort of thing. So you can do magic for yourself for quote unquote trivial things. If you were looking for permission, hey, here you go, it's permission. I give you that permission. You don't have to feel like there's something, if you do this thing for yourself, that there's going to be something you got to pay for on the back end. Now this is something on a deeper level that I've been made aware of, that people are saying, well, what was it I heard? I heard this very recently. Someone was talking about a bigger topic, but something, I'm paraphrasing what they said, something to the effect of, well, you know, that magic is coming from somewhere. So don't you know you have to balance the scales and pay it on the back end. You're going to have to pay for it no matter what. Now, here's where, for me, I don't necessarily disagree with that, all of it. What I do disagree with, taking that type of thought when it comes to, back to my trivial spells of parking spot and having a quiet night. I don't think that if you do cast a spell so you can enjoy a TV show for 2 hours in a night, that you are going to have to pay for that by, let's say, not being able to watch anything for the next few nights next week, because the world will be chaotic. Everything's going to be chaos because you did cast that spell for that one night. So you got that. So now you won't ever see that again for a while, because that's what you have to pay, energetically speaking. I don't believe that's true. Also, because the way I approach spirituality, magic, all of that, is I usually don't come to a spell empty-handed. I'm a cottage witch, so I practice in a way where I'm pouring energetically outside of myself into the energy of the home. I believe, you know, in having house spirits, you know, and, you know, it's not a thing where it's something I'm actively doing, like I'm talking to a space and I'm saying, hi, you know, my brownie is here. No, I'm not doing that. But it's more of like just being made aware. So when there's prime example, noises that make no sense. No, it wasn't the AC, it wasn't from outside, it wasn't the house settling, it's something else. That type of thing. Y'all, some of you know what I mean. When you have situations where things have been moved, you didn't move it, no one else in the house moved it. No, it makes no sense for anyone to have moved this particular item. So, okay, you got my attention. So what I do in those types of situations is here's a dedicated space I made for the fairies, for instance. I have a fairy altar where I have shiny trinkets and things like that, and crystal and things of that nature, to make them, and I try to find something of natural, like fiber, and that space, so now don't mess with this stuff because I gave you shiny things to mess with. You don't have to hide my other stuff. Don't hide my good stuff. Here's some stuff for you, that type of thing. So I keep that energetic, that communing, that relationship, if you will, going. So I'm never coming empty-handed because there's always this flow of energy back and forth anyway. So when which is usually in my home, I said I was a cottage witch. Most of the time I'm casting, I'm home. Most of everything I'm doing is usually at home. So yeah, the energy I feed into my home with cleansing, both mundanely and spiritually cleansing, purifying, and putting back energy into it. That's work. That's energetic work for me. So when it's time for me to cast and do something, I can pull from that energy. I can get assistance without ever petitioning or calling upon, but just by the mere fact that there's this symbiotic relationship happening. So automatically, if I'm casting, it's being boosted by that energy. Okay? So, and I know I'm kind of way out there. If you don't know what I'm talking, I'm sorry. That's just me. But that's how I do as a cottage witch. But yeah, so anyway, the point is, I am never at a point where I need to pay back energetically something that I've gained by casting a spell, which is energy, because I'm already offering. I have altars that I do do offerings at. I have things around my home in honor and reverence to entities that I work with. And it's my gift, it's my offering. And whenever I make eye contact and I see, and it's, do you realize to ancestors with veneration, to just be aware and to notice can sometimes be enough to acknowledge, set up space, and then see that space and smile and interact in whatever way that is, even if it's just a smile, because you're emitting energy with that. It's an offering as well. So if you are already doing that sort of thing, like myself, what am I paying back by casting a spell for time and space to enjoy something for myself? Why do I need to pay that back? It's already happened. I already paid it forward. I let go and let magic. What I also would like to just add, once you cast, believe. And while you're casting, believe whatever you're casting will work. That's how we witches let go and let magic. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I am Mika. This is Leap Taken. Please, please, please hit that like button. It helps. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. I'd appreciate it. Consider hitting the join button. There's just one level here. Go ahead and click that button, the join button, and check that out. And go to leaptaken.com if you're interested in any of my services. I have some things I've been teasing. It's coming. I'm almost done. I am a one witch show here, and I have integrity and I'm authentic. So I only put out something I believe in. So when I'm working on something, I genuinely want it to work for you. Like, I'm not just talking into this camera and just saying nonsense. And I really believe what I speak. So it takes time when you're someone who is like that. At least for me, it takes time, because I'm very hard on myself, because I want whatever I put out there and say, this is me, of Leap Taken, and I'm offering this. I want it to be real. I want it to be authentic and useful and inspiring. So anyway, I'll end it here. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.